the title of his speech is a complete mystery to me.
Thank you. How do you feel about risk? Are you willing to take your life in your hands? If you say yes, are you willing to do it on a daily basis? Take a look at fate, shake your fist and say, I see you, but I'm going to overcome you. Is that something that you feel up to? You said yes to this question. And you may be well suited to teaching a teenager to drive a car. So my question to you is, how good are you at driving a car? It's not something we really think about anymore, is it? Right? You get in the car, drive to the place, get out, bam, we're done, right? Unless somebody comes close to hitting us, we can't probably even remember the trip that we just took, right? It's one of 1,000 that we've already taken, right? But can you remember when you were learning to drive a car back in the day? That's always a little bit of a trip back in time, right? You know, it's interesting because apparently none of us are born knowing how to drive a car, which of course means when you hit high school, at some point in time, it's time for you to learn how to drive a car. As a proud parent of 3 children, I've gone through this twice. I'm going through it the 3rd time. And if the wife ever comes to me and says, hey, let's adopt, I'll say no. Primarily because of driving a car. So in case you've forgotten, because it's been a while, in our school system, learning to drive a car starts. Basically, it's book knowledge. So they're in a class, traditionally taught by coach. I'm sorry, a highly trained traffic instructor. No, okay, actually, really generally coach, okay? They learn something, although I'm not really quite sure what, and God's honest truth, I'm a little hard pressed to remember exactly what I remembered in school. I think you learned the rules of the road, right? Which is a verbal discussion of, hey, you come to a 4-way stop, you stop, and let the person go. Which is good, because if you ask them, potentially they can echo it back to you. Do they actually know it? No, not necessarily, okay? They pass the test, and that's it. So in the school system, if you can take in enough of what you've been told, you take a test, and if you can pass that test, you get so-called the first bullet in the chamber, your learner's permit. With a learner's permit, somebody can drive a car as long as there's another licensed adult in the car. And that's where I come into the picture. As the parent of the child with the learner permit, the burden of responsibility now rests on my shoulders to somehow take them from this child who has a learner's permit to a skilled and talented person who's able to move, 15, 20,000 pounds of metal, plastic, and glass around without banging into other people or other things. I'm sorry, I don't think I really showed it. It's this wide is the gap between those two things. So, the question is, how do you start something like that? Interesting enough, the answer is, you go to the mall. So next time you park in a mall, think about that. I'm out there someplace. So a mall is actually very interesting because the mall has a huge parking lot. And unless it's Christmas, there's probably large portions of that parking lot that are completely empty. And when you're teaching a student how to drive a car, you want empty. Empty is good, okay? You do have these things of cement every so often, but you can work through those. And what do? So you're out there. Well, first off, you have the child start up the car, which is generally a flaming disaster to begin with, because they start up and go, great, where are we going to go? Stop! You've got a seat to adjust. You've got mirrors to adjust. You've got lights to turn on. You got a lot of stuff to do before you're going anywhere, okay? Oh, by the way, let's also make sure you know how the turn signals work. Yeah, okay. Oh, by the wipers, we may as well do wipers as long as, okay. So there's a lot of things that we don't think about that you got to get the new driver to be acquainted with. Great, we got that taken care of. We're in the mall, there's no cars around, now what are we going to do? Don't want to get you too excited, but what we're going to do is we're going to spend the next hour going up and down, and up and down, and up, and oh wait, we're at the end. Okay, great. Now we're gonna go back, back, and back, and back, and back. So they have experience behind the wheel. They get the concept of turning the wheel and stopping the car and looking both ways when they hit the end of a row. Oh, I have to look both ways? Yeah, well, it's generally helpful. And then turning and going up and going up and down. When they've got that mastered is probably too generous of a word, but when they've got that under their belt, okay, we move on to the next part of the experience. It's called parking the car. Now, in the mall, you've got all sorts of little places where you can park the car, right? So what I like to do is have them park in a completely empty spot first, which is generally a flaming disaster. They're halfway on the line, the cars are junk. Okay, well, good, let's try it again and again and again. When they finally get that good, okay, fine. Then what I do is I go through the parking lot and I find a place where there's a car parked with nobody on the other side. I say, let's park next to the crane that this is going to hold. Let's go through. Great. Then we drive on a little bit further and I find the same car but other side. And we park on the side of that car. Hey, two down. This is pretty cool. You know where we're going. We look for the ultimate nirvana in parking. Cars on both sides, empty spot in the middle. All right, let's do this. And we slide in, and then we slide out, and we correct, and we slide back in, and slide back out, and then we slide, and then eventually we get down. Yes, we've got the parking thing done. So we can go home. And then we come back and do it again, and again, and again, and again. So what do you do after this? You got the mall. Well, actually, I apologize. There's one more thing to the mall. After you get all that sort of done, it's driving around the mall. Your malls always have a road that goes around them. That's the next step, because there's actually cars going both ways, and there's people merging in and out on that. So we've sort of kicked it up a notch as we do that. And there's stop signs every so often where you come in. So there's the concept of, oh, we have stop sign. Yeah, you should have stopped back there. That would have been really sort of helpful if we'd stopped and stuff like that. So it actually went pretty well. Recently, with my latest son, we almost got T-boned in the parking lot. What? Who's doing that? Wait, yes, we did that. So great. So now we're circling the parking lot. We've got a little bit of driving under our belt. So how do we do this? What's our next step in this? The next step is driving home, out in public, real traffic lights. When I get home, it's interesting because it does take about 15 minutes for me to actually get my hands to, like, let go of the front console because I've just been gripping it so hard. So yes, you can teach a child to drive a car, but you have to have a capacity to put up with risk. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dr. Jim. Most entertaining. Although, I must say that he left out the most crucial skill that you need to teach your youngster.
Oh.
Which is how to text while you're driving.